Welcome to the CEC 11 February meeting. Thank you. January meeting. See, I'm moving too fast. The January meeting. Before the meeting starts, I want to remind everyone that this is a public meeting and it is being recorded. The time now is 6:11. Please, at this time, only CEC 11 members are speaking. For those at home, please have your mics on mute. We will have public forum at the end of this meeting. And do we have interpreters? Interpreters, if you can come down and introduce yourself.
শুভ সন্ধ্যা। আমি বাঙালি ইন্টারপ্রেটার, আপনাদের যদি বাংলা ভাষায় কোনো হেল্প লাগে বলবেন, আমরা এই জায়গায় দুইজন আছে আপনাদেরকে হেল্প করতে পারি। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you.
Spanish.
Spanish?
It's fine.
Spanish.
Spanish interpreter, Graciela Salakis, together with Isabel Rodríguez. We were doing the interpretation. Vamos a hacer la interpretación en español el día de hoy. Mi nombre es Graciela Núñez Salakis junto con Isabel Rodríguez.
مساء الخير. أنا المترجم اللغة العربية وللجالية العربية إذا وددت سماع هذا الاجتماع باللغة العربية تستطيعون الحصول على الأجهزة مسار التقني في الخلف لسماع على هذا الاجتماع باللغة العربية وشكرا.
All right, thank you. Now I will proceed to roll call. Ashley Jones, present. Ms. Bonilla. Is she present on Zoom? She may, okay. All right, she's absent now, but she should be present on Zoom. Dr. Toba. Absent. Miss Elamine.
Present on Zoom.
Mrs. Garcia.
Present.
Mr. Cruz. Is he present on Zoom? I know that he sent a text message saying he's on his way, so he might be in traffic. Ms. Vera.
Present.
Mr. McCartney.
Present.
Mrs. Mary Smalls.
Present.
Mrs. Brulos Burns.
Present on
Thank you. Mr. Coles. He did say that he was coming in person, so he may just be in traffic. So I will circle back. And Mrs. Matthews Cotton. Okay, I know that she was under the weather, but we will circle back. So we only have 5 members here in person, therefore we have not made quorum, and we will circle back during the business meeting. We can now move into the superintendent report. Oh, do we have one? Oh, that is light mistake.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We can hear you.
What? Okay. So good evening to everyone. Today is January 21st, 2025. I just want to take a moment. This is our first January meeting, so I want to say Happy New Year to all of our families in District 11. I want to say Happy New Year to our CEC and all of you. As many of you know, the CEC body, this parent body, is really works on a volunteer basis. So I want to thank you for all your time and all the work you're doing on behalf of the families of District 11. As you know, we are one of the largest districts in New York City, 22,000 students plus. And so everything that you do is appreciated. I also want to just highlight and thank the parents that are in the office tonight. If you are a D11 staff member, can you just raise your hand? You work in one of the D11 schools? Okay, I want to thank all those D11 staff members as well. So if we could just take a look, as I stated, District 11, one of the largest districts, encompasses so many different neighborhoods. We just take a look at the map on our southern section of the district, Castle Hill, Parkchester, and we go working towards the southern end, the southern end, Castle Hill, Parkchester, moving towards our northern end. We have Mars Park, we have Allerton Avenue, then we have Van Ness, we have City Island, Baychester area, and then we also cover the Woodlawn area. Did I forget any neighborhood? Yes. And Co-op City. You never forget
Yes.
Co-op City. Thank you so much. So there are a lot of neighborhoods. We are a gigantic district. And so just want to highlight the 45 schools. What you can see here is our goals. Very important, this time of year in January, our students have taken their mid-year assessments, as we say, and we are looking at how our students are doing, how our schools are doing. And I have to say that we are on track to meet our goals. Our first goal is around improving literacy for all of our students, and we're interested in improving at least 10%. We're on track to make that goal. Our goal number 2 is around how do we keep our students safe? Number 1 priority of all of our parents, of all of our principals, to ensure that our schools are safe. Goal number 3, focused on our supporting our students in the area of math, and really with a special emphasis on multi-language learners and our students with special education needs. And we are on track to meet our June goal. And then our 4th goal is really about how do we ensure that our students are college and career ready. One of the ways that District 11 is supporting that is by offering and training teachers and retraining teachers on robotics and coding and all of our STEAM work. And so you'll see many of our schools have robotics teams up and running, which allows them to really work on design, work on creating robots, and think about how do we use robotics to solve problems that our students are currently facing. With that, I want to move into our NYSA accounts, just to put that up. Sharon, Miriam, do you want to talk to this a little bit? I know many of our parents have activated these accounts, but we're always putting a plug to make sure that new families to the Department of Ed, new families to New York City Public Schools, thank you. We're always encouraging you to make sure you have your NYSA accounts so that you can see your child's attendance, you can see your child's grades and everything else in between. You want to talk about that?
Right, so we've been working closely with all of our parent coordinators. Our goal is that all of our schools have 100% activation for families that need to get their account creation codes, you will see your parent coordinator. We are running a competition here. And so, shout out to the CDC, who has been very instrumental in helping us get our parents signed up for the NICSA accounts. It's very important, because with the upcoming CCEC elections, a lot is done through the NICSA accounts. And so that is our goal from now through April, May. Everybody is able to have a voice and vote, and that is through the NICSA account.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. I also want to highlight, Sharon and Miriam, who are really leading the parent department here at District 11. For the past several years, they've been doing a virtual learning night for parents on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I just want to highlight them and let them talk a little bit about what's on the agenda next. What other topics are we doing?
We just did this with our families. Wednesday night, as you know, is the hottest ticket in town. Yes, we average, for the year, our goal was 132 families a week. So we are very excited. Last week, we had our math preparation for the state exam and CERN. And so that was attended, over 80-something like families jumped on that. Tomorrow is, given the recent events, very timed. Like it was right on time. They have fire safety. There's a presentation from the FDNY. So I think we need that, especially with the most recent events that have been happening. The week after that is, I don't think we just have a host of things coming up. Our L's, preparation for night slack, that is coming up. So much more. You have to come on Wednesday. Join us, find out more.
And they're gonna put the link in the chat. It's always the same Zoom link, so that'll be in the chat. Please join us tomorrow night, especially when it gets cold. It's always a great place to come and be in community with other families and parents and all of the same challenges that we're facing. You can always meet new friends there. I also want to just highlight, before we get into some of the other slides, that we did have unfortunately, we had a fire recently in one of our buildings on Allerton Avenue that impacted quite a few of our families. I want to thank the CDC for reaching out right away to figure out how can we support our families that have been displaced. I want to turn it over to Sharon and Miriam, who are going to say a few words about this as well.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Miriam, and I have never ever been more proud to be a part of the D11 family and the D11 team as of this moment due to this unfortunate situation with the fire. I have never seen such a level of community within our community. All the schools really stepped in, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. Just to kind of give you some quick updates. Overall, at PS 76, we had about 7 families that were affected. As of now, the school was able to provide rideshare for each student. Most students remained local, and 3 families, and about 2 families were not. So most of the families stayed within the vicinity, and 2 families, one in Manhattan and I guess Washington Heights, still kind of Manhattan, but 2 families are there. It's a pleasure to announce, as of today is the last day in the hotel. And starting tonight, they will be transferred. By tomorrow, they will all be transferred into a shelter up until that they can get, they can figure out what the next steps will be. We also would like to take the time to really shout out the Allerton Association. There's a T-Mobile store around the area that was closed down that they reopened so that they can utilize that as a hub where the families who were affected by the fire can pick up clothes, coats, shoes, and any hygiene product that they needed, which was a beautiful thing because it's not just the District 11 stepped in, but the community as a whole stepped in to really support our families, and that is amazing. Again, like if you were there for those who came by that Friday, at PS 76 to see the families, heartbroken, and so it's a tough position to be in. But yet to see all of our schools come together to support was a beautiful thing. Whether it was, we had schools running to BJ's to pick up food, going to the restaurants to pick up food, to drop it off, whatever clothes, whatever they had in-house, they came to drop it off to support these families. So there's, I want to really thank District 11 families and schools. Kudos to you all. CC again, as Ms. Wanja said, kudos to you too for wanting to and willing to step in to really provide not just resources, but to provide items to these families, and it's amazing. And on behalf of everyone, I say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I also just want to give a shout out to, our mayor and chancellor, who, were one of the first people up to the school just to make sure, check on the families, check on the site. Our borough president came, our speaker Hasty was here, Councilman Riley, you also had Senator Bailey, so like everybody in the Bronx stepped up visiting the site as well as really thinking about the families and figuring out networking. How do we get them the toiletries they need, the clothes that they need? So it really was something that I agree, everybody's incredibly proud of. And again, if you need support, if you were impacted, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at the district office or the CEC. I also just want to highlight an incredible event that was hosted by the CEC and also our UFT, our 10-year celebration, the District 11 10-year celebration. Tenure, as you know, is something that staff work really hard to achieve. For some titles, it's 3 years, for others, it's 4, and then for others, it's 5. So just thinking about I think we had a couple of hundred people here, right, celebrating at our last meeting, really being recognized. Actually, how many people do you remember?
It was, if not like 80 to 90, like we were like right there at the hundreds.
There was, I was thinking a couple of hundred, so, all right,
Yeah.
I'm a little too high, so. Okay, let's say 100 people came out. You know what? It was so sweet. We saw parents here
Yes.
that were supporting, their children getting tenure. Their children in some cases were 20, 30, 40 years old. That was lovely to see. We also had spouses here. It was really a community event, but something that really was done, hasn't been done in a while. I feel like we were doing a lot of celebrating prior to COVID, and now that's something that we haven't done in that way in a very long time. I want to thank you guys for the food, the celebration that happened after. It really gave people time to sit down with one another, to meet new friends and really just celebrate District 11. So really, thank you for that. Again, do you want to talk about the emergency drop-off since it's up?
Sure, I don't know if the CEC, I just
Oh.
wanted to put that up as it is one of the continued, like there's still accepting donations, many of the flyers we have. Those dates have changed, but I just wanted to point out that the CEC is still collecting donation. And I see in the chat, some people are asking about the donation, so. It's shame.
Okay, we'll have someone manage that, but I could speak to as far as in the donation. So again, it's been an ongoing effort. Actually, yesterday, they had another community relief drive drop-off location that I was able to go to yesterday, right here on Arlington Avenue. It was actually 738 Arlington Avenue. And this was another collaboration with the BP's office, Councilman Riley, Senator Bailey. And they are still accepting donations, and I let them know that we were going to be collecting here at PS 121 until the end of the week, Friday, and then we will then disperse all the items that we collected for the families. But yeah, we're just still sitting, working together to support the community, and anything that we can do for families, please feel free to reach out to us. We work really closely with our elected officials here in this community, and we're still like building in community. So we want you to know that we're all here together along with the district office. So, but yes, we will still be collecting.
Excellent, that's great to hear. I also just want to share an update. The district is doing a lot of work on our Black Studies curriculum. So that was something that got rolled out, I want to say last year by the former chancellor, something that the central office had put a lot of effort and work into. So just letting you know that the district office has a team that's working with liaisons from each school on building out a rollout, so that will be in every school across the district. But again, right now the team is looking at where do the lessons currently fit into our social studies curriculum, to our literacy curriculum, and to any other pieces that we're using throughout the school day. So just know that is happening in the district right now. And there was a press release recently this fall around a Latino studies that was also underway right now. So just giving you some information. So that's being developed right now as we speak with our central office, and the district is working, it has a team working right now on our Black Studies curriculum. I also just want to share with you, and I know CEC got an email today, that there is going to be a PEP on March 26th. And there will be 2 proposals on the docket for vote for that PEP. So just giving you guys a heads up, March 26th, one is going to be PS 105. And that is going to be the request to move it from a K-5 school to a K-8. And then the other is a consolidation for X287 and X370. So just sharing that with you, and that is a consolidation. Both of those still have to be finalized. There's still discussions with staff that are going to be happening. Tomorrow, we're having discussions with the X270 to 287 and the X370 staff members. There'll still be a joint public hearing there, and then it will go to PEP on March 26th. And the X105 campus has had a shift in the D75 program that is going to be opening there at X105. CEC just you guys got the email regarding that? Is everybody aware?
Yes, if Mrs. Bonilla is on, she can speak to that.
Okay. So just sharing that it's gonna be 75X723, just so you're aware. You have the DBN, and again, there's still some work that has to be done there. There's still gonna be a joint public hearing that's gonna happen there. There's still some steps that are gonna happen so that, New York City Public Schools and District 11 can really get feedback from the community, you know, as we move forward with this proposal. So if there's any questions about that, certainly you can ask now or after the presentation, whatever makes the most sense.
Let's see, it's,
I'll ask after.
Okay.
Thank you, Superintendent Vaughn.
Welcome. Next up is attendance. You know, as the weather gets colder and we drop into the frigid teen temperatures like we were today, just a reminder that, you know, we really can't see student progress in our individual students or as a district if our children, our students are not in school every day. So just asking, please be mindful of attendance. Please do everything in your power, you know, to bring your children to school. That is like key. I just want to highlight, there has been some nice increases for schools. You know, our attendance goal is 95% daily. Currently, we're at 91.6. There are 7 schools that are above 92%. Want to highlight them. 498, 175. 19, 181, 83, and 87. And schools with an 8% or more increase this period, want to highlight 355, 144, 87, 111, 370, 532, and 103. So there has been, while we're in, our winter period, we know it gets harder and harder to make sure we have 95% attendance in all of our schools, but just want to know that there are a lot of creative ways that schools are ensuring that they have high attendance. They have focus groups with students, trying to find out what the students love about school, trying to make sure those things happen every day. Usually they want a really great lunch and they want gym in the morning. You probably have heard that. So making all those moves just to ensure that students, one, they feel engaged and they want to come to school. So just, thinking about if you have a need, if you see a great need to be absent for an extended amount of time, speak to your school principal, speak to the supervisor, hello there, and even the school nurse if that's necessary. Anybody want to say anything about that?
Come to school every day.
No matter what.
Next up, there's some community events happening here. You can see them on the calendar, lots of community events.
January 25th. It is National Spouses Day, January 26th. Don't say I didn't tell you. January 26th is National Spouses Day. You've been warned.
And maybe shout out for our Black History presentation.
Come.
Tell them the date and
Save the date.
give them a little bit of what's to come on that.
So on February 26th, we will have our annual Black History, talent, I'm going to call it a talent show where we get to see our students showcase what they have learned and whatever they want to express about what Black history is to them. Last year, he was there, it was amazing. So you can just imagine.
Phenomenal.
Have going on this year. I can tell you that Sharon is going to do the electric slide again, or I mean, not electric, the robot. She won't do the robot. But she has a lot of tricks up her sleeve, but you gotta be in it to win it, so you gotta be here to see it. So we can't wait to have you. It will be happening at, so it will be held at, it's 144, and the year just keeps getting better, and this year we have an art gallery. Students get to put up their artwork of what they're doing around Black history, and you don't wanna miss it. If you're tired of hearing us sing and dance, look at the art.
Yeah, we do have an opening act to be remembered.
Last year was amazing. Like, you guys did a phenomenal job. So if you two top that, I can't wait.
It'll be even better.
Yes,
That's what they keep saying.
yes, I can't wait.
Okay, I know we have our Deputy Superintendent Tijuana Perez that's on the call with us. You want to say a few words? We're going to come back to our Deputy Superintendent, and of course, you want to introduce yourself also so everybody knows.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Pincus, the Executive Director here in D11. I see a lot of familiar faces. Nice to see you all. Happy New Year. And thank you for being with us tonight.
E.D. Pincus does a lot across our schools. One of them is the Pivington remote work, as well as lots of other things. So that is something we were lucky to miss a big storm, right? How many thought we were gonna get a lot of snow? Right? I don't know, we'll keep our fingers crossed. I'm looking at the Hudson now, it is freezing over. I am seeing that. Not a good sign. So with that, I'm gonna turn it back over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent. Thank you, Superintendent Vaughn. So we have the Division of School Facility presentation. I think we have Miss Alexandria Cruz on the Zoom. do you mind introducing yourself and unmuting? Mrs. Cruz, can you unmute yourself? So she's with schools, with school facilities, and I'm just gonna speak to it.
I see her unmuted, but I don't hear anything.
Okay. I don't see where she's
She put it,
joined.
she put in the chat she's gonna try to call it in.
Okay, okay. Until then, so we recently had a deadline for School Construction Authority to list our top 5 projects in this district of the projects that need to be done. So with that being said, we kind of needed a little bit of help with that. If anyone joined our special meeting, you'll see that we were kind of confused on how, as the CEC 11, how do we get together and decide what's the top priorities in our school district that's really important, and with us not knowing necessarily all the electrical work and mechanical work, and just kind of how do we help advocate for the schools. And Ms. Cruz stepped in. She's I want to say the director of facilities here at District 11. Excuse me if I'm misrepresenting your title.
Ashley, can you hear me by any chance?
I can hear you now.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm gonna
I didn't mean to jump in like that.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna kick it over to you, but let me just let them know. So she came in, she met with us and helped us decide what top 5 priorities for us to send over on last Friday. And I will let her start her presentation before I announce the top priorities and what schools were selected.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashley, for first off, to the entire CEC. Thank you so much for including me in today's meeting. I am joined here with Tony Howard, who is a fellow Deputy Director of Facilities here in the Bronx. He has a couple of the schools in District 11, and he also oversees ACS sites. So I just wanted to include him in this conversation. And, you know, I leveraged a lot of his input when we discussed the capital improvement projects. But before I get into, you know, who I am, what Tony and I do as far as DSF, I just want to, you know, go back to what Superintendent Vaughn said and Miriam said. I don't know if everyone is aware, but separate from PS 76 and us hosting a shelter in for the families that were dealing with the fire, we also had another one in District 10. Same thing, we had to, you know, have a building open and accessible, you know, for the people to relocate, get some support as far as getting them a place to stay, get them anything as far as amenities, toiletries, anything that we can in the event of emergency. And I have to just really highlight District 11, the way that we came together that Friday when families were displaced when it came to the fire. So I think that's also really great that you guys are doing that event tomorrow with the fire department. I think that'll be huge. I think it's really important because it impacts so many more communities, just ours. So I think that is really awesome that you guys are being proactive and trying to figure out in more ways than one how to support the communities and the Bronx residents. I also appreciate the fact that you guys are also still opening up the donations because just like Vaughn said, there were a lot of elected officials out there. They were focusing on last week getting the donations available for the families that were impacted. It just seems like there's
a lot more emergencies that are happening in the Bronx, and we need to share as much love as possible. So I really appreciate seeing the fact that we have donations still available that the CEC is taking in. I've had some not-for-profits reach out to me directly about how they can support the families that were impacted in District 11. So I'll touch base with you, Ashley and Stephanie, just to make sure that any additional resources that we can to support the families in our district, whatever we could do, I want to make sure that we make it happen for them. So without further ado, my name is Alexandria Cruz. Here with Tony Howard. We are Deputy Directors of Facilities. Majority of our portfolio is in District 11. Just so you guys get an understanding, I'll start the presentation, but I think a lot of people get confused with what does exactly school facilities do? What does the construction or school construction authority, what are they responsible for? So I really appreciate this opportunity just to share with you guys who we are, what we do, and what are some of our current focal points, separate from the fact that, you know, we are the eyes and ears for every single school building, and we do whatever we can to make anything happen. So if we can, I want to just start with the presentation if possible.
Yes, take it away. Yeah. Mhm. So just in this first slide here that you saw, I was just focusing one of our middle school, and then a couple of years ago, the CEC provided the custodian engineers a luncheon, and I thought that was fantastic. And I just want to highlight, you know, I really appreciate the CEC here in District 11 as far as, you know, open communication and collaborative efforts. You know, Ashley just explained about what can we submit to the SBA as far as some capital improvements, what are some ways that we can, you know, support the schools in more ways than one. So I really appreciate, one, this opportunity, and two, just the partnership with the CEC. I'm happy to help in any way possible. They already know I'm always a phone call away. And I just wanted to say thank you again when it comes to that. But if we jump into the About Us, long story short, Division of School Facilities is part of the DOE. So we are DOE employees, but what we're responsible for is providing, you know, a safe, clean, comfortable environment. Anything pertaining to maintenance, repairs, and making sure that the building is safely to operate or to have people come in, that's under our jurisdiction. So it can get a little crazy because from what you've seen in a lot of the schools, we have a lot of active construction. We have a lot of projects. We have new buildings opening up. Tony and myself are very much involved with overseeing the construction and the operations, but as far as who is responsible for what, SBA has a lot of the jurisdiction. So if we go to the next slide, I can pretty much explain to you the main difference between us two. Now, DSF, which is our organization that's part of DOE, is completely separate from School Construction Authority, or what is known as the SBA. We will handle day-to-day maintenance, repairs, operations. We'll do minor repairs here, do certain things to make sure that we're maintaining, like, you know, painting or floor care and terminal cleaning. You know, during the pandemic, we were responsible for doing all the disinfecting and whatnot. SBA wasn't involved with that. Any minor repairs, short-term fixes, or anything like that, we'll get involved with that. The School Construction Authority handles a lot more larger or bigger scopes of work. And what I mean by that is, for example, their work kind of goes in three categories. One, based off of capacity. So working with superintendent's office, working with space planning, as far as the need for schools to be either expanded or new construction, they will handle that, or additions. Like, for example, you've seen that we talked about 105, getting the addition and the preemptive plans on whether or not
it's going to be D75 or any type of correspondence with that new added space to that campus. We had that at 19, we had that at 97, we've had that at 87. So that all falls with the School Construction Authority working with space planning based off the need for the district. Now, as far as managing the day-to-day of that construction, that fell on the custodial engineer, that fell on me. If we ran into any problems or any issues, we would be following up with the SBA. We're the ones that were on site, making sure that everything is being handled appropriately by the SBA. When it comes to major renovations, different state or city compliances, for example, exterior repairs, new windows or new brick, new parapets, new stuff, anything of that nature, the School Construction Authority would manage. The biggest difference between us two, we have a set budget. The School Construction Authority gets their funding through the state, the federal, any different initiatives. So we have a DOE operating budget. They don't. So there are certain projects, or there might be certain repairs or certain concerns that come up that we wouldn't be able to facilitate with the type of budget. We would probably send that over to the SBA. And that's why working with the CEC, with the capital improvements, what are some things that we wouldn't be able to fund versus getting the SBA to get involved? I'm so grateful for that. There are certain limitations that we have with the amount of money and the amount of resources that we do have to leverage, external, divisions, just so that we can get the support for our schools. And I think with collaborative efforts with CEC, with our elected officials, with even the principals, I always like to say, we will figure out a way, or we'll make one. Now, just so you guys can get a breakdown of the DSF overview of who makes up the DSF versus SBA, your DSF are the people in the building. So the representation of the cleaners, your handyman, your fireman, your station engineer. If you scroll to the next slide, I can share it more to you guys. We are the people that are opening the building. We're the ones that are heating the building. We're the ones that are cleaning the building. We're the ones that are identifying the repairs needed for the building. And we're the one that's closing it up. Just so you guys are aware, we don't necessarily just see the elementary and middle schools. We also oversee the high schools. Like I mentioned earlier, Tony oversees ACS sites, but we also oversee any lease sites from the DOE as well. I know there's a couple of schools that are in lease sites, so just wanted to make sure that you guys understand we have lease sites, we have standalone charter schools, we have D75 standalone charter schools. We encompass the entire district as a whole, not based off of any grades or anything like that. Now, we have one borough director that oversees the entire Bronx. We have one maintenance planner. We have one borough contract manager, but you guys have Tony Howard and Alexandria Cruz as the deputy directors. Now, what does that mean exactly? We tell the supervisors of mechanics, we tell the contract managers what is needed outside of the scope of what our staff in the building can do. And then we tell what those staff in the building how to manage or how to move forward with cleaning, with repairs, or with managing construction that impacts us a lot. And you guys already know that dealing with any projects that are major construction, there are a lot that needs to have, actual oversight and actual supervision for, and that's where we come into play. So yes, the SBA does major construction. Yes, they'll do new buildings, but we are the ones that are in those buildings or in those spaces, making sure that they're doing right by what is necessary for that school to be safe and operating. Now, it doesn't just go past SBA. If you go to the next slide, you're going to see we deal with almost every single city agency, state agency, unions possible, just to make sure that the buildings are safe to operate and to to access. But separate from that, we make sure that we're aligned with any new or updated compliances or anything like that. So we very much work with School Construction Authority, but we also work with the Department of Buildings. We work with the Department of Environmental Protection. We are constantly working with the fire department and the police department and the Department of Transportation. Depending on certain things, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene will get involved, EPA, but for the most part, these are just some of the people that we work with. I mean, I didn't have to mention too much about Con Ed because we all know that they're a headache in itself to deal with, but every single person or every single entity that is involved with operating a city school, public school, we work with them. Now, that is a lot in itself that I shared. We work with everybody. We're a little bit different from the SBA. We are responsible for all the day-to-day operations. But one thing that Division of School Facilities in District 11 are focusing on, in all honesty, separate from, collaborating with IT for safer access, installations, or any other, agencies or any other divisions that are doing any installations in the building, we work collaborate with them. But the biggest thing that District 11, DSF is focusing on are sustainability efforts. Now, yes, we can do painting, we can, advocate for, new upgrades or new replacements of different areas of the building. But the biggest part of our focus right now are figuring out ways to be sustainable. And what does that mean exactly for us? Because we're glorified firefighters, in all honesty. We wake up and we keep on moving. If something happens, we react and we do whatever we can to make sure that everything is okay. But separate from that, how can we do better with what we are doing? The first component of that is, our waste, as far as, garbage and stuff like that. Now, you guys already know the city, the mayor's office, they did a huge push with forcing people to get different bins, making sure you're separating this, this and that. It's not just businesses, it's not just residents, but we're also doing that at schools. So if we go to the next slide, we can talk about that briefly because it's been a really big push. I know our mayor has made some promises about reducing rodents and making sure that the trash, debris out in the streets, we're doing a lot better. But it also starts with the schools too, because we are the buildings that the community leverage, whether it's a voting site, whether it's a cooling center, we are available for any of the needs that are being met. Now, for waste management, we had to work collaboratively with, sanitation about how can we make this actually happen? How can we make this really become a result of us putting our efforts together to see an improvement? We have been working with signage and equipment and materials for recycling. We're trying to do our best with getting as much literature and information sent to the schools directly about curbside compost, why it's important. And we're doing a lot more routine training with our cleaners, our handymen, all of our staff, and with school foods. We work with them all the time when it comes to this. How can we be better about sorting what needs to be removed from the school and how we can do it in a more effective manner, so that way we're not, just creating more garbage to go into landfills. We want to make sure that we're doing things to move forward with, our future and everything that we're trying to accomplish for our students. We're not just thinking about their education, we're also thinking about where they're going to have as far as a world that they can live in. And that goes into our next part, because we all love, our technology, and technology is booming. To be honest, most of these schools were around before you and I were born. When those buildings were being erected or when they were being constructed, none of them were cognizant of laptop carts, smart boards, phones, all of that. So what are ways that we can be more efficient with the energy usage that we're doing at our schools? So right now we have a lot of different schools in our district that are going through so many different energy efficient initiatives and projects that it's not costing our budget, but it's ways that one, we can optimize, and second, if we can get some funds or grant, from the state, we're trying to figure out any avenues to get some more money into our buildings. And it's not just the principal, superintendent's office, or the CEC trying to figure out ways. It's all of us. We are a communal effort when it comes to that. So one of the ways that we are looking to get things done, separate from like solar panels, a lot of our schools have been going through these LED upgrades. They've been in the process of getting new boilers or fuel conversions, which is in a partnership with SCA. We're trying to get them thermostats. We want to make sure that ultimately, and these are the schools that you have that are a lot older, that don't have, the rooftop equipment that provides heating and air conditioning. These are your old school buildings that have boilers. And we want to make sure that one, we're converting the fuel to something that reduces the emissions, and two, that's a lot more just efficient with the equipment. So we think about the quality of the equipment, and we think about what is being put out into our atmosphere. Separate from that, we want to make sure that in spaces we have thermostats, so that way we're not just wasting or having our steam plants just run continuously. LED upgrades, I mentioned about it earlier. We're getting new light fixtures. We're trying to change it from the exterior, from the interior, and then also include in spaces occupancy sensors or timers, because if people are not in certain spaces, we still want any electrical that's still running. And right now, as we speak, we're in the process of doing a pilot, which pretty much means that we're taking a couple of schools right now, and we're trying to figure out ways that we can reduce the energy. And that's, I'm going to get to it next, the demand response. But there's so many different ways that we can make things better with the school as far as, reducing the energy that we're using, because let's be honest, these buildings can't sustain all the electrical that we need. So we're looking at solar panels. What's another way that we can support electrical needs in schools? Demand response. Let's pick certain times of the day that we can reduce the energy that we're using at the building. And if it's possible, if we do really well, we might be able to get some additional money for that, which I think is fantastic. As far as smart technology integration, that's for your schools that have HVAC equipment. They don't have a boiler that provides heat, and they're not using a window unit. They're using a one unit that provides heating and air conditioning. With a BMS system, a building management system, they can review it or supervise it from a computer, which will allow us to discern what is going on, so that way we're not running into additional manpower needed or constantly going through this trial and error of figuring out what is the issue. We have almost like a computer working with us to determine the problems that we may or may not have. And the last thing that we're doing, that we're working with school foods, is electronification of the kitchens. So a lot of your gas stoves or your gas ovens are being replaced with electric now. And that's also reducing the emissions that are going out there. So again, it's a lot. We're all over the place, but we're trying to figure out ultimately, what does school give out aside from garbage? How is it impacting the environment? And what are ways that we can modify it or improve it? And if it can be beneficial for the students and the staff as far as being able to use more devices in the classroom, great, or just altogether, hey, we can get funds to improve something and we can be a candidate for something, even better. So I understand that it's a lot. I did go over a lot of different ways, but we just have to think outside the box sometimes, because each school is very different. They have their own unique qualities. Not each school is the same as the other. So we have to be mindful of what is conducive for this campus versus what's going to be conducive for another. So it does take a lot, but it's something that I enjoy doing, and Tony and myself, we enjoy doing this because it figures out ways for us to get creative and how we can really support the school outside of just the regular day-to-day, you know, is it clean? You know, are we running heat? That kind of thing. We want to think more ways holistically how we can make these schools to be a lot more effective because, you know, Superintendent Vaughn mentioned, we are one of the largest school districts. We are one of the largest geographical school districts, and we're one of the largest districts that does have a student homeless body population. So these schools are the safest place aside from their homes. We want to make sure that we're doing everything in more ways than one. So we got to get creative, and there's so many different avenues, and by all means, we're doing the research for it for sure.
All right.
I know,
Thank you.
yeah, I know I talk a lot. I'm passionate about what we do here, and I'll give the floor to Tony just so that way you guys can stop hearing me talk.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, she just basically covered everything. So at the end of the day, I guess you guys got a better understanding of what goes on between us and the SCA, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, so just keep in mind that for the most part, we're available at all times, especially me. If you guys have any other questions or concerns, or you want to reach out to me about something specific when it comes to your school, please don't hesitate. My phone is 24 hours, and I can tell you that. And I come in person. So anytime you need me there, I'll just come. But I'm a verbal person, so if you call me, I'll answer. And then I'll back it up with an email just to show that we had this conversation. So please just reach out. Keep in
Thank
mind
you.
too,
Just the one thing, only because I really appreciate everything working with you all. If you don't mind sharing the CEC events and the district
yeah, we would like
events,
to be there.
we would love to participate in those, so that way you guys can put faces to names, and we just want to support in, you know, in any way possible. So anything that's going on in the district, let us know. We would love to stop by. We don't mind seeing people dance. We don't mind seeing the artwork. You know, we love what these students can do and what they can accomplish. So please, anytime that you guys have something, please extend the invite to us. We will gladly attend or show love in one way or another.
Thank you for that. Now, do you mind speaking about the top 5 projects and why they made the top 5, just so we can get an understanding of like members that are, you know, going to continue to go and do these school visits, so we can better understand what should we be asking outside of just the list of questions that they kind of normally give us, you know, kind of give us to ask, just so going forward, when it's time to choose the top 5, we're able to know a little bit more and make it even more a collaborative effort, just instead of us just saying, hey, can you kind of make these decisions for us? So if you don't mind, like, going through that list and just kind of explaining what's going on over there in those, just the 5.
Sure, and just so you guys are aware, we, as DSF, just like I mentioned earlier, we have a finite budget. So there are certain large capital improvements that we would need the SBA involved with. And if it can encompass, you know, up to $1 million or multiple, that's what we focus on. And again, I just want to highlight that when we did talk about the 5 capital improvement projects that we wanted to steer for District 11, I try to be mindful of any co-located buildings or any buildings that are extremely antiquated, saying that very politely, but also separate from that, just anyone that's not anticipated from, you know, whether it's state funding or RESO funding or SBA plans, not being included in this, the 5 requests from the CEC. So the first thing that I requested was X160. Now, I apologize. I know schools based off of the building code, not the organization code, because whoever occupies the building, we want to make sure that the building is okay in itself and it's safe for them. So X160, what I like to consider as like the stepchild of the co-op city schools, public schools. It's on the outskirts. I know it has a charter school, it also has D75, but one of the things that I've noticed about X160 is in the neighborhood that it's in, there are routine, constant power outages. And what I think would be extremely beneficial for that entire campus is getting some type of emergency lighting system that includes a generator, so it doesn't disrupt too much of the instructional time that the students have in that school. And that's not just, gen ed or D75 retarded, that's everyone. I want to make sure that with the power outages that occur in that neighborhood, we're mindful of the students at that building. So that was the first request that I put in. The second request is for X189. Tony can talk to you more about that. Yeah, you're on, right now.
Yeah, X189 historically has a lot of cooling and heating issues because of their RTUs. Now, I don't know quite how long it's been there. I think Cruz has a better understanding of how long it's been going on, but it's been going on for over 10 years, from my understanding. And it's a real big problem. Just recently, for the last 2 weeks, we had around the clock electricians, HVAC, BMS, and different people working in there just to keep the heating going because we knew the temperatures were going to drop this week. We also had to run into like a couple of complaints from the UFT and also the principal himself. And to the point where we had to speak with Christine Vaughn to help us out to kind of slow things down a little bit, because even though we were working in the building, we were still getting bombarded with these emails about how the heating is so important, which it is. We try to provide a safe environment for our kids, and you can't really blame them in that sense. But these RTUs are problematic. So right now, the school has heat as of yesterday. Sufficient heat in all the classrooms. We had 34 classrooms that was affected in all. And up until yesterday, we will finally get the heat to running on a consistent basis where they actually have heat. So, in a nutshell, X189 is one of my wish list for this SCA to try to help us out.
And their rooms were above 70 degrees today, so you guys did a great job.
Say that again, you guys broke up, I'm sorry.
I said reportedly the rooms were all above 70 degrees, so you did a good job. Thank you.
Right.
I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Thank you. So just to go back to closing out the last couple of capital improvements that we put in, and here's the thing, I always have a running list of capital improvements that can be done in our district. So when, Ashley reached out to me and said, what are some of the things that you want us to focus on? This was a great opportunity. So yes, 160 with the power outages, 189 historically with their RTUs. X089 is an extremely antiquated building, which makes things very trivial to make it ADA compliant. It is idealistic to say that every single building can be, conducive for every single person that comes in, but it's not. And what we want to do, separate from, sustainability, is trying to figure out ways to make sure that our buildings are ADA compliant. And that would be a very big lift for the 89 campus to assist with the bathroom renovations there. X021, we put that we would want to get that gymnasium upgraded And the main reason that we're putting this as a large capital improvement is because the way that the building is designed, it gets a lot of flooding in the lower levels. Like if you guys go, you see that all the buildings are different, but the way that that building is structured, that gym can take a beating, and we want to make sure that we do any flood elimination and we restore that gym so that way it is accessible and we don't run into recurring issues where we have to constantly do repairs or anything like that. This is something similar that we did at 189. 189 had a gym that was constantly getting a lot of water, a lot of flooding, and it was almost every single, major storm we had, it was getting impacted. So this was something that we did there, and I think it would be extremely beneficial to be done at 21 as well. The last school that I requested for capital improvements was X127, the co-located campus, for their auditorium and upgrade. Again, when it comes to auditoriums, when it comes to gymnasiums, when it comes to your large PA spaces, there's so much more that gets involved separate from trying to make it look nice. We want to make sure that these large spaces that can host more than just a regular classroom can allow any and everyone to access those spaces. So, for example, in the situation that we had at PS 76, where we had to set up the Red Cross at the building, we've had this long ago at PS 103. One of the ways that we can be supportive is making sure that we create our schools to be accessible by anyone. So with some of these large asks, gymnasium, auditorium, a lot of times these spaces are near first floors or they're near the street level, where it makes it that we're not just encompassing the auditorium or gymnasium. We want to make sure that we're also making it ADA compliant for people to access those spaces well. So those were the 5 that we prioritized for right now. Granted, I have so many others that I want to still figure out ways to, put it out there to get done. I've already been reaching out, separate from principals, reaching out to elected officials to get any type of RESOA or any money for the schools. I'm reaching out to them as well. If there's an opportunity for a school building to receive grants from different initiatives or whatever the case may be, at this point, you guys already know, being New York City residents, you have to figure out ways to be resourceful to get things done. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this district. And Tony has been a huge part in making it happen. So we're not just talking about it, but we're making tangible differences in our district.
All right. Well, thank you both for your presentation, Mrs. Cruz and Mr. Howard. We really appreciate your collaboration and helping us continue to support our schools and their buildings to make sure that they're safe and a good environment for our D11 students. So thank you again for attending our meeting, and we look forward to collaborating and chatting more. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for including us.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Do we have any member reports? Member or committee reports at this time? Nope, nope. All right, general public comment. Is there anyone here in the audience that has anything to say, or even on Zoom? Everyone, could you raise your hand and take your 2 minutes? She raised her hand, okay. Samira?
Yes, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year to all. I just have 2 quick questions. The first one would be about the Black Studies. What I understood is that the district will be reaching out to liaisons. Did I hear that correctly as far as reaching out to school liaisons about the Black Studies?
So what I shared was that there is a team that's working with, within the district, and they're working with school liaisons. If you'd like them to share, you know, what the work entails, they can certainly do that if you'd like.
Okay, yes, that would be great. So that, right, so that we can have a little bit of information on that and what to expect and the time frame on that.
Yeah, I can ask them to be a part of my report. How's that sound?
Okay,
And, just give an
yes.
update.
okay.
for
That would be
February.
great.
February meeting?
Sure.
Oh, great. Oh, great, yes.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'd like to invite, the principal of, 370
Okay.
and also the principal of 287 also to share some insight into their consolidation and the reason for doing so. And that's okay with you guys.
For February?
For February during my report.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
It's all good? Okay.
yes. And this is that, Richard R. Green campus, right?
Yes.
That's the, okay, okay.
Is the meeting here?
To be determined. We're working on some logistics, and so, yeah, we might need your help, but yes,
Sounds great.
thank you. Well, yeah, so we'll definitely let you know, but most likely it will not be here, because we're kind of trying to move around, so.
I like it. I like
Okay,
ahead.
thank you for yes,
your
thank you.
next-
Thank you for that information. And the second question is, could someone inform us how exactly we could find assessments that students take on Nixa? It was discussed previously in a previous meeting that assessments could be located on Nixa. Is that the case? And if so, how so?
We said assessment, result information can be found there. So, you want to talk to that?
I would have to see it from a parent's view. I don't have a parent's view to guide. So I'm gonna have Miriam, who is the parent,
Oh,
not into her account. And then we can, narrow down exactly how you can find.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay. Anyone else?
I have a question, but it's about the DSS. When I saw the page with all the entities they have to deal, I saw the OPT, that's the Office for People Transportation. And I know some schools have problems with traffic. They work, when the school have a problem with congestion, the cars, the buses, they deal with situations like that, the school.
So most likely, the best route to do is, you know, raise it to the principal. You can also go on to the Department of Transportation,
Yes.
to their website, and make a formal complaint there to be looked at.
Okay.
You know, there's a way to do that, so that they'll have people, it takes some time, but they will have people come out and actually take a look at the exact, complaint that you're mentioning.
Okay,
You know, if
It's
it's
because-
lights or stop signs or things like that.
yes, it's one of the, where we have the town hall. 97.
97. Yeah.
The principal was talking about some conflict with traffic around the school.
Because of the new entrance, I
yeah,
think that they
because of-
changed the way
yeah.
and people are still kind of like figuring it out, yeah. I think that's, I don't want to say, I don't want to
I don't.
misspeak, but I get what you're saying, yes.
I would say that when they're doing those type of, additions,
Yeah.
they definitely confer with all the government agencies,
Mhm.
you know, so, but still, sometimes there are still things that are coming up that, like I said, each borough has, a chief of transportation.
Yeah,
And they will respond to that.
thank you.
Mhm. Okay. Any more questions from members or comments? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn the calendar meeting.
Okay.
Can I say your name?
Oh, I, Ashley Jones. Wait, I need a second though.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. Okay, say your name.
Sorry.
Oh.
I, Lopez Murray Small, motion to adjourn the
Wait a
calendar
minute.
meeting. January calendar meeting. I, Danielle Vera, seconded.
I, Ashley Jones, President of CEC 11, adjourn the calendar portion of this meeting at 7:26. If we can maybe take 5 minutes and come Good evening, D11 community. Welcome to the January business meeting. The time now is 7:39 and only CEC 11 members are speaking at this time. I will go right into roll call since Ms. Elamine is on Zoom. Ashley Jones, present. Ms. Bonilla,
Present.
Dr. Toba is absent. Mrs. Elamine,
Present via Zoom.
Mrs. Garcia,
Present.
Mr. Cruz, Mrs. Vera,
Present.
Mr. McCartney, Mrs. Mary Smalls, present. Mrs. Brulos Burns,
Present via Zoom.
Mr. Cole, Mrs. Matthews Cotton. She on Zoom? Okay, she is absent, under the weather. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in person, so let the record. What is it? I can't even say it. How does Samira say it?
Let the record show we have.
Let the record show we made quorum. Perfect. All right, approval of November and December calendar and business minutes. Wait, I have to do the roll call stuff too? Wait, the roll call voting? Does anyone have any,
I only have one comment about December business.
okay, how do you guys want to do it? You guys want to, well, I guess I'll determine that. We'll
We'll
do,
start with November or just one
you-
little edit. on
yeah, let's,
December, which is, for attendees, Terry's last name is spelled incorrectly.
okay. Oh, okay, I see, you're missing a hyphen, okay,
That was him.
all right. With edits, okay. Let's start with November. And I will start, does anybody have any edits for November? Going once? Going twice? Okay. December edits? Anything besides Danielle's comment about Terry's last name? Going once, going twice? Nope. Okay, can someone make a motion to move to voting for the November and December minutes?
I, Topaz Murray Small, make a motion to vote on the November and December meeting minutes.
Okay. And someone's, all right, so I can just proceed?
Let's see, someone the second. or-
Yeah,
All right, Michael McCartney, second that motion. To vote on the minutes.
all right, motion approved. Let's move into the roll call. Ashley Jones, I approve. Ms. Bonilla? Ms. Bonilla, are you there? Stephanie? Okay, Dr. Toba is absent. Ms. Elamine?
Approve.
Approve. Okay, I was gonna say approve, disapprove, or abstain.
Approve.
Ms. Garcia?
Approve.
Mr. Cruz? Ms. Vera?
Approve.
Mr. McCartney? Miss Mary Smalls?
I approve one and abstain from the other because I wasn't here for December.
Sure. Well,
Is that what-
can we do that?
Well, you'd have to call them separately.
Yeah. In order for her, yeah, in order for you to do that, you're right. We're gonna have to split it up because
Yeah, because I wasn't here
for the December minutes. Okay, let's start from the top again. We're approving for November. Ashley Jones, approved. Miss Alamine, November minutes.
Approve.
Miss Garcia,
Approve.
Mr. Cruz, Miss Vera,
Approve.
Mr. McCartney, Mrs. Mary Smalls,
Approve.
Mrs. Brulos Burns,
Approve.
Ms. Cotton's not here, and Mr. Cole.
Sorry. I, Stephanie Bonilla, approve.
Thank you. That's for the November minutes.
Yes, I just didn't want to cut everyone off, so I wanted to wait.
Okay, all right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 approved. The November minutes are approved. Now for the December minutes. Ashley Jones, approve. Mrs. Bonilla. Mrs. Bonilla. Stephanie.
Approve.
Mr. Toba is absent. Mrs. Elamine.
Approve.
Mrs. Garcia.
Approve.
Mr. Cruz. Mrs. Vera.
Approve.
Mr. McCartney. Mrs. Mary Smalls.
Abstain.
Mrs. Brulos Burns.
Approve.
Mr. Cole. Thank you. December and November minutes are approved. Okay, Karina, if you don't mind, can we move into your treasurer's report?
Okay. Um, I will read just the remainder we have for the budget. And thank you all the members that have been applying diligently to the reimbursement. It looks like our chart is getting more clear, and Naomi is working on some, trouble-free having with that. So for the remainder, for the member reimbursement, we have 10,681. For the president reimbursement, we have 1,000. For the monthly meals, we have 1,097. Office supply, we have 526 with 89 cents. The P card that is used to pay for the website is 216. The large event, we calculate right now 3,252. That is, and we have to discuss about what we're going to do. We have a deadline. The last day we will have is on February for our next meeting. We have to talk about that. We have the line for the educational software that you remember it was to pay for the website, and we created $45.05. So the remainder for the whole budget from the 25,000 is $16,800 with $18. I don't know if you have any questions. But the major thing is we need to discuss the large event. We have to start to look for bids. And we've been talking about to make a resources fair. We have to talk about that, guys, please. We don't have time. The time was yesterday.
Yes.
That's practically what it is. The details are in the back, and we're not for each month. So things change. We will change for January as soon as some reimbursement are claimed. But I don't know if you have any questions or want to talk about something.
I have a question. What is the, what's the deadline that we need? What's the deadline, the date, I'm saying in February, that we have to have all of our, money allocated?
That's
In
not
this-
the last, that's not the 26th, Naomi. We'll talk about. No.
I don't feel like that in my notes either, so that's why I asked the question.
Without this. And without my glasses, I can't.
February 24th.
It's the 24th.
The 20.
So we have to have all of our, money. How do you say it? Committed to a line, budgeted in a line, added in a line?
Allocated. Yes.
Allocated, okay,
Allocated
that's
and
that term.
Create, it have to be for that day. We still have the meeting.
What's
for
the date again?
February.
24th, okay.
We still have that meeting.
We meet on the 11th.
When do we need to have all the purchase orders in by? That's like March something.
No,
right?
that's like March, it's not,
That is April 4th.
April 4th? Oh, different this year.
so for that it's time. What we have to decide is, because the large event last year, it was around 5,000 in maestros.
Mhm.
It was 5,600 something.
Mhm.
And right now, what we are calculating for the large event is just 3,252.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, all of us make donations and we get a good amount for the event. We had the awards. I don't think we're doing awards this year.
Why we don't,
I don't know, I just suggesting, I just talking out loud.
Okay.
Thinking out loud.
well, can we move then into the, event discussion? And then like, let's just kind of talk about that a little bit. How do we, like, what do we want to do for the remaining time of the year, just with February 24th coming up? So that gives us one more meeting that's already on the calendar. Last year, I believe we like had to do like a special meeting in order for us to decide.
Decide.
So if we don't want to do that, can we decide tonight, what do we want to do? Because if not, we're gonna have to come back before the 24th.
Well, our meeting is before then.
But still, like that,
We can finalize it then, though.
I-
We can
the-
make like a final vote, like discuss it tonight.
we said that in December, we said that in November.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that I don't want to do that, but why can't we discuss it tonight and finalize it tonight? What's stopping us? Because if we wait until December, until the 11th, that gives us 2 weeks to come in here and then trying to figure it out. I have to send the emails, like, give me time to work.
Well, maybe we could, think about what we did last year. Do you want to go to the same venue? Do you want to have a dinner? Last year, it was just one large event. The years before, we used to be, the breakfast and, something for the principals, I think. It was like 2 events
It was a legislative breakfast, and then there was something for the PCs, I think, right?
that we are invited for the CCELL, legislative breakfast this Friday. I said that I'm going. Yes, I will make the effort to attend. But last year we found that it works for us to have one event. It was nice. There's some members that put a lot of extra effort in that thing.
Let me know what I'm doing. I want to work now. I don't want to wait last minute. Let's go. Mm-hmm.
But it's expensive too. That was expensive. And that venue, the Maestros, is very nice, but it's expensive too. So if you want something like that, we will have to start to donate to get something similar. And that is the reason I said that maybe we are not doing awards, because that need a lot of money.
So the awards, the awards went to our parent leaders, like our PTA,
Yes,
our, the awards really went to the parent coordinators,
PTA and,
Title I and PA. And then parent
And
coordinators,
the
PA,
legislative.
like this.
and
Yes,
then
there was
and principals,
legislators,
and then legislatives.
Yeah.
Because that was like a separate, different types of awards. So are we saying that we don't want to give the Title I and PA awards this year?
We have,
Maybe we could look at the
We have-
pricing on the awards?
Or maybe we could not make a dinner, make breakfast sometimes is a little cheaper than a dinner. So
Well, do breakfast, you can't have.
That,
that's.
that's why we did dinner. And
Yeah.
if you don't mind me jumping in, I wanna celebrate my Title I and my PA. That they're the ones that really support us when we go to the schools and stuff like that.
For them, you can't.
Agree, and also the parent coordinator. I just felt like I know usually it's two
Well-
events, but having that one event gave a like roundabout on
wait,
everyone being acknowledged and how they were
Yeah,
acknowledged.
Michael,
And-
Wait,
Sorry.
Michael.
Oh,
was-
I'm
Michael was
sorry.
talking 1 second.
I can't hear. That's
Oh,
And you want to acknowledge like PAs, PTAs, and the Title I.
Uh-huh.
Those are other
Can be
parent
breakfast.
volunteers. You can have breakfast. You just can't do anything.
They won't let the
For
parent coordinators
teachers
come.
or-
They're working.
Yes.
Cause that's, but we need to acknowledge them
But on
too.
the same token
That's
for
why you want
the,
to do dinner. If you want to do this, I mean, I will say right here on the record that I'm an advocate for Ms. Vera's idea of having a big, resource fair. And because I think that adds more value to the community.
Yeah.
Than taking these people that, someone, I mean, to be the parent volunteers, to get people that just doing their jobs.
Mhm.
They should be doing. So, as long as you have a resource fair, we can actually do things for the community. That's kind of what we're here for.
Yes,
Just my 2 cents.
yes.
No, I agree. I think we all agree that we're gonna definitely do a resource fair this year.
It could be something like District 7 made last year with the book fair they made.
That
Like,
was
it was
done through
very nice.
UFT.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm saying something similar to that event. And I think we need to make this year something for the general community or families.
Mhm.
We celebrate our teachers and PAs and, last year, they, like Mr. Michael said, they doing their work, so maybe now we have to approach to the fund. We are parents too, that's why we're here.
Right. No, I definitely agree. Now, the resource fair, is, that's something in addition to the legislative, parent leader dinner is, or
That would be.
to replace it? Oh, to instead, but I think I don't wanna, and we have somebody here that could probably kind of answer this question for us. I know that, the legislative,
Breakfast.
no, let me say legislative event, because I wanna, a Lent
Required event.
is,
It's
is
required
something
for-
that, and I don't want to use the word required. That's why I'm saying someone is here to clarify that. But that's one of the, that should be in our calendar per se, like that comes in the manual. I don't know how to
Luckily, they
explain
didn't
it.
attend the last one, so
Who didn't attend?
the legislators.
But,
Which legislators didn't attend?
In
All
the
of them?
event. Yeah, that's true.
No,
Who?
all of them?
No,
which one?
Christine Mamarato came in person.
Okay, one.
And then the rest of all of their staff came when they, yes, they
representative
did.
from
No,
their
it was,
offices.
yeah, their staff
Oslo
was there.
Police Office was there.
Michelle Walker from Councilman Riley's office was there. We have pictures with these people. You shaking your head?
The
No.
two people that the legislators themselves didn't show up.
They had
Oh,
Carl
but-
Hayes'
yeah,
office.
Okay, but no, they couldn't
But
show up.
represent, it's not that they couldn't, they decided
Yeah.
not to.
That was also the Trump event, where was it the Bronx?
Yeah, I
That
thought
was the
something
reason
happened.
Why they
Okay.
couldn't show it.
Was that, like, are you saying that I'm lying? Wait, I
No,
don't.
I'm saying that we were
I'm
not
like,
prioritized after having
Oh,
decided
a priority.
because something else was deemed more important to do that day. So for me, it shows that they are not as supportive as we would like them to be. And I would love to give the money back to the community for this go round because they could also be invited to this event. Like, it's an event for the entire community. But I would love to see the money go directly to the parents, directly to the community, directly to the families of D11, rather than showboating.
But I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, no, I get that. But I also think that it was 7 of them, but we had 80 people that did show up. And it
I'm
was,
not disagreeing with you.
so if
I
I,
think that if we
my
create
money
an
went to
event
the 80.
that is for the community, it would be a better use of our time, money, efforts, and keeping the community involved, right? So we just suffered a fire in the community. You know, there are things that are happening that I think that we need to focus on the community and building that community. We're having another elections for CEC. What do they know about us? What are we providing them as a resource, right? To know that they have these things in the community that are able to serve them.
Well, for the
That's
resource
my goal
fair,
and that's my interest. But again, everyone can speak to their
And I,
goals and interests of being a CEC
and I,
member.
and I think that the point you just made about this being a CEC election cycle, and when we have, myself included, people on this council that got elected with 20 votes, that we should be embarrassed by that. So we should be out there banging the drum, trying to get as many people to at least know what we
It's
are.
easy.
So they can make either informed decisions, they can log on to the events and see who's running and what they're saying, or they can actually sign up themselves to run. Because we obviously need more involvement.
We definitely need more involvement. I definitely agree with that. I think that also too, that's a district thing that they are working on as far as in like highlighting just CEC. I think that's also outside of us here. Cause we all know that we're here. It's the other parents and stuff that don't know.
I just,
Disrespect intended to anybody, but obviously their outreach isn't doing a heck of a lot, because when they were pushing it last time, when most of us got elected, and there are people that got elected with 20 or fewer votes. And that, to me, speaks to very, very weak outreach to the community. And we need to do, if we want to have, you know, people showing up to these meetings, we need to do better outreach and let people know who we are and what we do.
Lord knows I try. I mean,
I just want to add,
out there. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I just want to add, for the resource fair, I feel like that will be a good way to build with community. I just don't feel, that we need to spend a bunch of funds we don't need to allocate a bunch of funds in order to conduct a resource fair. I think that with a small amount of funds, we're able to conduct a resource fair, because it deals more with just reaching out to, sorry about that, to different agencies in order to partner with us, and to join on what they could bring to our communities. So I think that would be a great way in order to work with the families and how to get ourselves out there. The other way is doing our workshops and with the pathways technology, all the committees. I feel like that's another way to get ourselves out there. But with engagement, I agree that is a district and a school thing. If some of our flyers are not shared, or even if they are shared, it's just the parents don't know what CEC even is. they're being told in schools PTAs and Title I, SLTs. They barely get told President's Council and DPAC. So that's a big highlight because a lot of PTAs don't even know that they could go to President's Council or Title I's to go to DPAC for assistance. So, but with the event as a whole, again, like Ashley said, I don't know if it's a requirement, but I know that from what I know of is something that's conducted as two separate events, but we had decided to combine it as one last year. I feel that highlighted a lot of the CEC and the work we do because it was something where everybody felt recognized and they didn't feel one got a breakfast, one got a dinner, and somebody else got and some of it is with the legislative and the principals and the parent coordinators and the parents. So I just felt I feel is the Masters event to do it as a to get together with everyone, that will be a nicer event. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh,
Do you mind if I ask one question? Jose, can you please like let us know whether or not that if the legislative, and if you have to come back and let us know, but whether or not it's a requirement, a suggestion, or how does that event
We're in
work when it
control
comes
of the
to this
funds,
board?
So we can dictate how it's spent.
I don't necessarily want to like, as far as in like where the money is spent, but I want to know what is my expectation of being on this council.
Understood, but
So-
we're in control of the funds, so if we decide not to have it.
Right, but
the
I,
money just doesn't get spent there.
yeah, but I want to know whether or not I did what was right or I did what was not required. I want to know whether we do what was required, the same way that these monthly meetings is required and I don't spend any money with food. I want to know whether or not it makes sense, like, am I required to do it? If I'm not required to do it, then that's another thing. If I'm required to do it and then I don't want to do it, I want to know that I made that choice, like I want to know. So we're all clear. So,
So the response to that specifically is not a requirement for any council member, any council to conduct legislative breakfast.
okay,
And the intentions, legislative breakfast specifically is to invite people in the political field, in other, ramifications to address, so the council can address them directly and understand the needs of the council and the community. But it's not a requirement for the council. It's not a law, it's not in regulation.
thank you. All right, I'm sorry, okay.
Something that, what I was talking about, Stephanie. For example, I attend I try as much as I can, virtual, they are virtual, the meetings for the CPAC.
Mm-hmm.
District 11, I never see it in those meetings that I attend for the CPAC. I don't know if
There's a reason,
members are aware of.
people, well, April Parks attend those meetings. I'm not sure if she sits on one of, like, or is that what you're saying? Like, if one of us,
Like when they call, they will call the members,
and we don't have a
representative
rep,
for District 11.
and we
they're
don't-
not
right, we don't have a representative on that.
On the CPAC.
Right, and I don't know who was because you're not the only one that questions that, and if I were you, I would reach out to April, because she had those same questions. And she's been attending those meetings, and she was like, yes, we need representation there. I think it's just about someone willing to step up and run and wanna sit on that board. I'm definitely not one of them.
The meetings
But-
are virtual.
Yeah, are you interested? You accent?
I will have to have more information about
Oh,
it.
okay, all
But,
right.
because I consider that the big league.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of
So
work.
that's like another step.
Exactly, yeah, that's
But
much for
I
me.
was curious about that, yeah,
Okay.
about representation in the CPAC.
On the CPAC, but yeah, reach out to April, cause she's,
Okay.
you know, she's gonna keep going. She gonna make sure the D11 gets represented everywhere she go. But
And about the resources fair, yes, we don't maybe have to put so much money in it, but if we make a resources fair like, bringing food, bringing an ice cream truck, all, we have to pay for things like that. So
Yeah,
it could
that's,
be our
yeah,
event.
that's
It
what I was
could
gonna
be a
say.
big event.
Like, if you wanna say that the resource fair is the big event for the district, then you can go big like that and have like and that's an opportunity to really invite people to come, you know,
And
there's
the
food,
people will
there's
come
different,
if
you
you
know,
offer food.
activities for kids, you know. So you can really make it something big.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't just have to be like a general resource fair, like you can make it like a big event.
I would like to make a suggestion. Why don't we, instead of, before we make this like an actual vote, we just do a quick roll call and see if we have people that
I love you,
want
Michael.
resource fair or want to have the dinner. And then we can just.
That way we'll know, right?
just knock it out because-
Well, where we're gonna put the big money or whatever, yeah. Okay, I can. No,
I actually have a quick question before. So
sure.
my first my question is with the resource fair, like maybe we call it something else, right? And that's why it doesn't feel like it. Like, I don't know if there's a specific date that we have to have this event by. We could do it like an end of school carnival-ish kind of a thing. And if we do that, then my second question, that's just a suggestion. And then my second question
Hey,
is.
can I answer that real quick? We get to
Absolutely.
determine the date tonight as well. So that's
Okay.
why I kind of want us to start saying what we're gonna do. So then we come back, that's when we'll have time to vote on the actual date that we're gonna have it and
Okay.
start planning on what we're gonna purchase for it and like, so, yeah.
Then my
Second question.
second question is, it was about money. So like in terms of money, what are we talking about? Are we talking about that we need $5,000 versus $2,000? You know, like I don't know what the money difference would be. And I feel like realistically, like I think that the determining factor should be money. So,
Okay.
you know, whatever makes sense financially, like I'm happy to donate whatever, but you know, just like whatever makes sense financially. That's just my suggestion.
We can compare with last year with Maestro's dinner, that was around $6,000. And if we making a resources fair, right now I'm thinking that we can, for example, I attend this event, a community event with NYC Reads. That's from the DOE and the NYCPS. And they bring a lot of stuff to that resources fair. And they could bring things that maybe we don't have to put that much money, like $6,000. Maybe this 3,000, let's say 4,000, I think it could make a good event.
I think at the very least, if we do a resources fair, you have much more flexibility.
Than
How much have you spent? We go, catering hall, it's X per head, you have to.
That's just true.
Assume how many people are coming,
Mhm.
and then how many people just don't show up, and then
I mean, then that part is true too.
So I think a resource fair, we have much more flexibility with that.
Well, the resource fair will be a location.
Well, that's another thing we have to talk about. We have to, you know, that's one thing.
And that we could, we could do a school,
There's much more
We
flexibility than
could,
that, yeah.
we could get a park.
right, reach out, we could reach out still to the community and decide what's the best
The
location.
same way we did, the Chancellor's Town Hall, we tried to find a place that was more centrally located in the middle of the district that would be easy for people to get to.
Mhm.
That would, you know, have parking,
Mhm.
which would probably be off hours, so it won't be such a challenge. If that parking, using transit accessibility. And, you know, talk with principal, maybe you can find principals that would be excited to have this on their property so they get a little more exposure. So, I think of that, I just think that from my 2 cents, reason for it is much more advantageous to the community. And it gives us a lot more flexibility than it tends to spend the budget.
Okay.
And
With
I would
that
like to,
being-
I would
Go
like
ahead.
to add real quickly before the vote. I hear from everyone that both, possibly both, going both ways, is important to the community. I hear that the resource fairs are important. And I hear that the dinner that we had is also important because it made, the ones who are doing the work, volunteer as well as paid. It really, made them feel appreciated. And that's, like somebody else mentioned, that's a really good way also to have word of mouth about CEC, informing the parents, et cetera. So what I wanted to just make a point about is there are resource fairs that are planned throughout our district. And I'm just wondering if maybe we could partner with those events possibly, or bring more attention to it. You know, like kind of like partner with them so that we are promoting it, we're bringing attention to it. We're not really spending much funds. And then we can maybe have our presence on multiple events by doing it that way. I think that's one option. And then if we are going to have the event that we had last year, like what Karina said, maybe just spending less money, maybe doing a breakfast on a Saturday, if possible. That way the PCs can come. And like, there'll be flexibility as far as who can come, and it would be less money. So just bringing that up as a option to have both, but spending less money by partnering for the resource fairs and less money with the locations and the day for the possible breakfast.
Hmm. That's not a bad idea, Zamira. Thank you for
So
that.
maybe we could ask, Naomi to look for bids for a breakfast in, Saturday, I think it's
Like,
difficult.
that's the,
Or maybe like a brunch or something.
because we're thinking for the parent coordinators, and with me, it's the PAs and the Title Ones and the parent coordinators and the principals, but
But we
My-
have to think about the day of the week in the venues, because on weekends, venues are expensier than on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
mm,
Okay, so maybe we could do a little bit of research on that to see if there's some that don't have some venues that don't have as much traffic on the weekend for whatever reason. Just wanted to put that out there as an option, possible option.
okay, but let's do.
Samira, do you have a list of resource fairs that are gonna be going on?
Oh,
You say if I have a list?
Mm-hmm. Did you said there's some coming up in the community, so do you have a list of those?
I don't have a list at the moment. I know that there were some last year, and I would believe that there will be some this year. So I could, if that is something that that would interest the council, I could look for a list of programs that will be coming up, because there were definitely some going on last year. So it's, like if that's gonna happen again, we can possibly partner with them. And if we see none is happening the rest of this school year, then we can also take that into account as to the importance of it and creating it. But I'm just saying, let's look to see what's already out there first, to see if we can partner.
I think that's a good idea, especially if we're looking for like those, I think everybody kind of starts around in the spring. So we can use our community contacts ahead of time to start communicating out to see what do they have coming up. It's already 8:23. So can we just go through and see how people kind of feel? Like let's get a census of whether or not we're gonna do, resource fair or legislative event. A quick roll call.
Can I just ask one more quick question? How much money do we have in the pool right now if we were going to do the event? How much money is in the pool right now?
That event right now is budget $3,252.
Okay, so we will have to come up with like another about $3,000. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
You know what? And just, I would think it would be another 4,000. Just give in count
Yeah, 'cause
of,
everything has gone up. You're right. Yep.
so whether with the event was it 5,000 last year?
Yep.
Almost
Close
6?
to 6.
We're gonna be spending almost 7,000 this year.
Yes.
So,
Because everything is expensive.
yes, so
Okay,
let's
thank you.
definitely.
Real
Take the
quick, Miss April Parks would like us to check the chat. She put some information on this topic in the chat to help us decide, or just
Okay.
further information.
Okay.
Would you like me to read it out loud?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Ms. April Park said most of the awards went to the D11 parents. We can serve the community with partnership using our community outreach. Our D11 legislators do work very hard to support, assist, and stand in the gap for our schools. Their last-minute political rally during our last award event. There was a last-minute political rally during our last award event. That was important for our families. And the legislators sent representatives to our event. We are working on a representative for CPAC, must come out of President Council. She said to call her if interested. And DPAC and President's Council is working on a resource fair. So if the D11 parent leadership can come together, we can each other help with the success of the event. The breakfast is hard. A lot of staff cannot come out in the morning. Parents are working. The dinner is more convenient. Okay. Okay, that was Ms. Parks' feedback.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. Okay, let's just kind of do a little, just to get a sense of, Mr. Coles,
Yes.
resource fair, you're so quiet. Resource fair or legislative dinner, I know, it's a long day.
New and taken aback the plethora of ideas here, but I would say that the dinner would be how I would go with my vote. I think that the dinner would be more benefit the community.
Okay. Thank you for that,
You're welcome.
Mrs. Smalls.
I like the idea of the resource fair. So I think it gives us an opportunity to reach out to the community and actually like see people, because we don't really get to see people. So I do like that idea. I think with both things, planning is the key. So I think it's when do you have it, what time of day, making sure that it's accessible for people. I think if you did a really big resource fair, and maybe it's that partnership with, DPAC and President's Council, and you put on one huge resource fair. But again, it's January and we'd really have to start planning this to figure out, what type of vendors are gonna be there, what type of, entertainment, whatever it may be. So it's a bigger undertaking than just, a head count at a dinner. But I think it's thoughtful. So I like the idea, but I can go either way depending. So, but I do like the idea of the resource fair for sure.
Resource fair, okay. I want to do both. I'll be honest. In my mind, I feel like that we can do both financially. I feel like that we can do both. So I really can't, I want to do both.
Good question.
Mhm.
We will discuss it. Why can't we celebrate the legislative people at this event?
At
Why
the,
we can't invite them to it?
to this resources fair.
Yeah, and introduce them to the community and have them be involved in it. And if they show up, great. If they don't show up, no money lost.
Right. I agree to that too. I would invite them to both. Let me just say that too.
Either way, if they show up or not, we recognize it.
Well, that's, yeah.
And would we be able at the resource fair, I don't know, I don't remember all the rules and regulations of the CEC campaign policy.
Mm-hmm.
Would we be able to have people who are interested in running for CEC come to the resource fair and talk about themselves?
We could do that if we don't have it on school
Yeah, I was
property.
gonna say, we just can't have it on
Because
school
we
property.
And
promote
I will, go
in the
ahead.
school property.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that we have enough, we have people in the community that know who CEC 11 is that would actually host us. Like, I don't want to just put that out, but the UFT
The UFT,
would definitely host us at one of their, locations.
yes.
Concern of school property. This playground is not school property, it's parks. So we could have it in that basketball
that-
court right there. It's
It-
parks.
it's
not-
a- it- but if it's a certain amount of feet too from the school.
Is that right? You have to- you have a
We,
certain
if
amount of-
we have an event.
I was told I could not
we
campaign
have to
around a
part that
certain
is
amount
close here.
of feet of a school, and they
We
put a
can
number on it.
promote The CC or
So we
maybe.
have the CEC presenters on the other side of it.
Let-
It's a certain number of feet. Have them on the other side.
Let me say that, that it was something like that, like you can't be here on the sidewalk. I had to be across on Baychester Avenue to be able to hand out my flyers to catch
There
people,
is a
but.
distance.
And they put a number behind the distance, like, I'm just using one, but like
Jose.
6 feet away from the school to do that.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, I do feel like that it would be possible to, and then even have people there to sign up for Nixa accounts to also help get people to be able to log in to vote for you, because that was always the hard part. It wasn't the fact that parents didn't want to vote, it was just that they didn't know how. Then I got to log into this account and set up. So that is something that we can do, and I feel like that is something that we should do here in our district, because our voting numbers were low.
There's a lot of, there's a few apps and there's parents confused. I know this model.
But I don't want us to
that
keep
is
we keep
confused.
getting off of topic, and
Yeah,
okay,
okay, continue.
so yes, resource fair or legislative, Danielle.
I would like to vote last.
Okay, well, I'll go backwards. Michael, resource fair.
Legislative resource fast.
Legislative resource fair, a mashup, okay. Okay,
I would like both, like you said, and maybe to make it a little more affordable, I would not make a dinner, I would maybe make a buffet.
Okay, so something with both, but so not,
But maybe we could have an event like the resources fair where we could, like just really accept, include everything. But,
and then like
Middle of Feb.
some type of other dinner for,
We do it early enough, can Truman cater?
because I really
I'm
think,
not reaching out.
I understand all the hard work that, and help the legislators, the Title I, all of them, I really appreciate it. But, we need the funds. And I think we need to reach the funds.
Okay, okay, so resource fair, Zamira,
Yes, I would like both if we could, do some partnering with the resource fair and be able to have an event that's less money than last year.
okay, so definitely an event less money than last year is what I'm definitely hearing here. Okay, Ms. Bonilla. Stephanie, you there? Is she there?
Yes.
Okay.
You thinking?
Which one? Resource fair or legislative dinner?
I'm still on that we could do both. I feel like can we have a line to not call it dinner and just allocate line for uh, like a event in the future that we could use like we had done before, just in case like we're able to revisit this conversation after the resource fair, but that I know the deadline is coming for the budget, but at least we have the line on what can we do.
The lines we have is large event. When we don't have dinner,
Oh,
we're not
okay.
eating what would be, it's just a large event. And we can create lines but for the deadline is February 24.
Okay. No, I think that's good with the large events. That's I didn't see it. But thank you for that clarity.
Yep.
So yeah.
So when you choose both,
So what? I'm sorry?
you choose both events. You want the resources fair and some kind of event for legislators, PCs.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yes.
question. We have this $3,200 on the large event line, more or less. I'm not looking at the numbers, so we don't have to get pedantic. Where, if we want to do both, where did other money come from? And
Last year, it was from donations. We had,
okay, so if from donation, these aren't
we get
fixed
the
things that-
6,000 from, the whole amount, part, that amount we have there, 3,000. And the rest, it was all of us, we start to say, okay, I donate, January, February, I donate all of it.
Yeah, you donated a lot to it, to be honest, yeah.
Well, but if you look at what we have left now, is there anybody who's gonna go on record and say that they're gonna commit a certain amount of their member reimbursements to, for this event? Because if you
Right
look
now.
at, that's gonna be the only place you would get anything from.
And that's why we're trying to,
Yeah.
like when we decide, that's why I want to know. So then those that do want to, are willing to contribute and asking, how are we doing it this year? Where we're getting the money from, then therefore we'll know what to do. That's why Karina has been staying on top of us about go ahead and fill out, don't let the member reimbursement pile up, like go ahead and continue to claim until, and so then now if we decide, now I'll know, well, nope, February, I'm donating.
Okay, so I think,
And there's money in the reimbursement line.
I was gonna say, what about?
When you see this
What?
table, there's money that is
These people.
located there, that it will not be claimed.
So like this.
okay,
is-
well, all right, well, let's address that first.
accounted
How much?
Yeah, all of
money
that's-
in the
it's still
member
here.
reimbursement line
It's still in the
is
reimbursement.
unclaimed.
We will
Right, so I'm
have
saying
to,
that's money that
we
could
have
be
to
put in
calculate that.
because-
And that's why, because there
I mean,
being,
yeah, we can. We'll, yeah.
members that left,
Instead of them.
but we have new members, so we need to see,
Not theirs.
right now, that black
That
line,
money already sitting there.
we have to like say exactly, okay, this is the amount that it will not claim. And we will, what we would like to do, we want to get that and move it to the large event. Yes, it's something that I've been, discussing, with Naomi about, that we need to know how much is, we have like money that we will not be claimed.
Okay, but what's for certain though is that we only have enough money for one of them.
Right now, we
That's-
just
that's
have
what we
money
see
for
here,
like
right?
one event.
Right now, we have enough money for one event, and then if we wanted to do something in, additional, we would need to donate to it.
Yes.
Doing the legislative different.
The resource
Oh,
fair.
Like, we have to stop with the, do both. We have to be decisive.
And we
Mm.
will know more about when we get those bids, or when we decide,
But then,
what we do.
but then, so, but we have to commit to one or the other, because you want to go out and do elect, so we can't, people listen to that, oh, I want to do both. So that's really not feasible,
But it's
okay, because the only reason we were
Right
able
now,
to
we
do,
just-
the only reason we were able to do
That's
dinner last year was because a bunch of people forewent their
Reimbursements,
and put that.
all into one.
So, but I think we need to err on the side of caution and function under the paradigm that people are not going to donate their reimbursements. 'Cause we
And
can't-
we don't have to
and
look for
expect.
any.
So I think we need to operate under the assumption that we have $3,250 to run this event.
For this,
So
that's
with that being said, what do we do? Because everybody wants to get this all
Yeah.
wrapped up.
So for me, the
So-
choice is simple, because if we have $3,000, we can't do maestros.
we
Right.
can do.
That's true.
Something else, in the monthly meals line,
So,
right now we have 1,097. We not buy pizzas or provide meals all the time for our meetings.
Mhm.
So
The event.
we could move maybe all of it, or maybe half, and say, we will leave 500 for buy water for a meeting.
Make that decision.
Yeah.
Do we want to move that?
Yes. So
It's getting tedious.
that's why I bring it to the council. Because I can,
And to what Michael's saying, and I agree, like, even if we had that extra, dollar, it still doesn't bring us up to the full 7 that we would need. That would bring us to the 4.
we would definitely need 7,000.
Right, I'm saying, we
So
don't
I know
have.
we're
And we don't have it, then we do, I agree.
Okay, you said we
There's-
would definitely need 7,000?
in my, something is sitting on me saying 7.
Excuse me, but is
7
Maestro,
for that one event.
all right? I mean, 'cause
No.
I've been there, I'm not impressed. I've been there. So
And-
it's not even worth 2,500 for 100 people to go.
Can
And
we
they
have
upgraded.
another?
Upgraded.
there's the manners, where they used to.
We
make it-
could do more.
It could-
That's why I'm saying, if I could just say to answer you, in order for us to do both, right? With the $3,000, we would have to host one event at a school and the other one in the park, and ask everybody to show up for free and give their information to donate their time, you know, like the resource. And not to say that we can't, because that's what they do. That's a lot of times how our community resource fairs are held in this district. It's everybody coming out, all the organizations donating their time. So that's to do both. We would be using this $3,000 and splitting it up and saying that we're gonna go to 121 to the playground, and we'll be using their cafeteria.
And just to address Mr. Cole for a minute, the reason we did my extras last year is because previously, the council, before I think any of us were involved,
Mm-hmm.
they were using Eastwood Manor,
Yes.
which was we were even getting a worse deal from Eastwood Manor. They were looking around for a place that was a little bit more affordable, and that's where we landed. So if you know of another, have a suggestion of it, we're wide open.
Are these places being selected because of their name or their location?
No, because they are in the district
Yeah, district and DOE vendors.
and DOE vendors, yeah.
So DOE vendors.
Yes, those are DOE vendors.
Yeah, you cannot,
Really?
right, oh,
Yes.
right, oh, yeah, what you thought? You could just
DOE vendor?
up, why would?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know, I'm sorry.
No, ask these questions, so that's good.
I mean, they're located in the community, they're obviously a luxury brand, they're marketing, they're doing weddings, bar mitzvahs. How all of a sudden do they become DOE? How do they align? What do they? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they offer. Okay.
They're really,
Wow.
everything community. So anything here, when it comes to supporting the
For
community.
example, there is
They're
an
charging
And they-
full price, but they're.
And I will say this, we get a discount. I think it's gonna be $7,000 this year, but I will say this, we got a discount. They definitely gave us a discount.
There is an event for the Bronx DD Council, Developmental Disability Council, that they made every year for a while, and Easy Maestros.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice.
A lot of people do, yeah.
And my daughter, my older one,
Okay.
prom was in Eastwood Manor.
Okay.
So,
In the community.
I'm sorry, just.
so guys, it sounds like we're doing a resource fair this year, and that's gonna be our highlighted event.
You know what time it is, my dear?
I'm not, yeah, I know, we've been sitting here yeah.
And
Okay.
she didn't go here.
Because we need to decide this tonight and it's too late to decide who's gonna.
Like, so when I leave here, I know
Okay,
where I'm
so
planning and gunning
It's too
for.
late to decide about who's gonna donate and not, right? Because it's too late, so
It's not
if we
even,
have to decide it today.
I think we need more information.
What is it that?
I can't, what more information do you need? Cause we sat
Because
here
if we're
and
gonna
chatted it out.
if we're gonna do a resource fair, number one, like, do we have the ability to make sure we get the people for the resource fair?
Yeah. Why wouldn't we be able to? I'm just
I've never
thinking.
done one before, that's what I'm
Okay,
asking.
okay, yeah, I could get you people, I could get you resources, I could get community, I could get resources, we can do
And
that.
just bring the flyers to the schools and people come.
Okay, and it's not gonna be redundant, right? As to what's already out there.
The resource fairs? Why wouldn't it be?
I'm saying it's not gonna be redundant, like, we're not gonna be pulling from the same people, and they're gonna be like, I already went to that resource fair type of
When
thing.
did you go?
What?
No, I'm
Oh,
saying
you
for
mean like our
what
resource?
April, yeah,
Our
I know
resource
April
fair would
mentioned
be-
that there's some coming up, so it wouldn't be like, it would have to be something really different
Right,
from the
we
ones
would-
that are coming
if
up.
we- Well, let me say this, if we did a resource fair, I would think that we would do one with a theme. So once we decide, then we can put the theme around it, make sure we're not redundant, be very selective on how we want, we want it to go, we want to come, whether or not we want to highlight, like a mental health, mental health services, enrichment programs, like we can put a theme behind the resource fair, the same way we did with Maestros, it takes a village. So I would handle it in the same way with the resource fair.
I'll make a motion that we vote on whether or not we want to have a resource fair or a legislative dinner slash.
Yes, but, the other thing, what you do.
Oh, neither did
What
Erica.
happened?
Neither did Erica.
Neither did Erica.
Well, Michael said he's making a motion to vote. Anybody else want to second that motion to just vote on something? Oh, William is seconding the motion to vote. All right, let's vote on something. What more information? Why are you looking at me like that so fast? Because I'm ready to move forward. It is.
Too much,
We just have 10 minutes.
too many choices.
I think the thing also is if we maybe rename it, and I think that'll make it a easier pill to swallow, maybe saying resource fair is probably what's keeping it feeling redundant.
Well, once we decide, we can name it, then we can put a name behind it. Like, yeah, all the planning and stuff.
That works.
Well, we can't call it anything else. They
I've
just said
tried. You cannot call it anything else.
community resource fair, that's it.
Also, it has
CEC
to be called a resource fair, okay.
So
We can't be
that-
a carnival or something like that, or,
Cannot call it that.
okay, cool.
To provide knowledge to the community. So in that aspect, you have to have something where people can learn about. So the last resource fair I did, we did fire safety. We did all the schools in the Bronx. So Hostos, Dominican, like all the colleges,
Mhm.
CUNY, et cetera. We had sanitation come by, teach people about how to deter animals from their garbages. We had, an animal wrangler come and provide education around different types of animals.
You can
Uh,
bring a petty zoo.
we did that,
Mhm.
but it was, small animals, it wasn't like a horse. We did things like that, so it has to be like educational. So we had libraries come out, we had, like, anything you could think of that was gonna provide resources to the community, they came out.
How much did that cost?
We spent, I would say between 4 and 5, and that's because we did.
For the partnership or
We-
for?
For all of the things that we did. So we purchased a lot of food
Okay.
for the community. We did a lot of educational things that did cost us money. So the FDNY safety briefing cost money.
Okay,
They don't do that for free.
okay,
The animal people were not free.
okay.
We did a balloon arch, that was not free. So we did pay for things, but we didn't have like an extravagant budget. I mean, to us, it wasn't extravagant. But it was enough to have, yeah, and we bought a lot of swag and we gave that swag out.
Okay.
So we did like mini tote bags and we did like pens. Yep, exactly,
If
exactly.
we do a resource fair, one thing that I think would be great, one of my neighbors is retired from the National Guard now. They provide what they call static display, where if we have a large enough space, they will actually fly and land a Black Hawk helicopter in the schoolyard.
Where are you finding that?
Oh,
No, like where are you finding that space?
Well, I was gonna say, Michael's bringing a helicopter to the resource fair.
They landed one at Smith High School on their field.
Okay.
So it was like-
Oh, yeah, high school, yeah, okay, that
Yeah,
makes
so
sense.
I'm saying, we have.
You can land one in Co-op
You're
City.
saying maybe
Oh,
not
we
wanna
got
have
space.
that in the schoolyard. Might wanna have-
You know what?
We do.
And that takes us
So that's
off
that.
camp.
Yeah, that'd be
Good talk.
great. The kids would lose their minds.
We got plenty of space.
And
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
to remind you, with permitting, we might have to like come out of pocket for that as well, right?
Yep.
Yep, that costs money. Okay, so I don't know
Why I
how much
have
that
to-
costs. We did it at a school, so you
Okay.
just have to make sure it's
It's on the
accessible,
Saturdays.
the school is
You gotta pay
accessible,
for
that
it.
everyone can attend.
Right, so we have a motion and a second to take a
We ain't got
vote.
no friends.
Sounds like resource fair.
We need resources. I ain't got no money for no permits. This is the school. Okay.
I do what you.
All right, let's vote. Michael, made a motion, William
Seconded.
seconded. So resource fair, Ashley Jones, approve, disapprove, or abstain, and I am abstaining.
Or why you don't?
Mrs. Bonillo,
I
approve?
abstain.
Okay, it's okay, because we're gonna get somewhere. Dr. Toba, he's not here today. Mrs. Elamine, approve, disapprove, or abstain?
I abstain at the moment. I would just like further information on whether both can happen. So since we can't do that tonight, I would like to abstain at the moment.
Adjourn.
Oh, gosh. We're not getting nowhere.
I approve.
And for the Omni card,
All right, wait,
It's
make
tabled.
the motion to adjourn and someone second it so I can adjourn this meeting.
For that
I
whole time.
second the motion, Stephanie Bonilla.
I, Ashley Jones, adjourn the CEC 11 business meeting at 8:53.
Good night, y'all. Get home safe.
Hi, thank you.
Good night.